How unfortunate. It looks like your boat has left you stranded in my home. What are the odds that the storm led you straight through the mouth of my cave? To me, I believe that your kind would call this a sign from the gods. You are meant to be right where you are, with me.
Though I admit I was helping the gods along, they were taking their time bringing you to me, and I was getting impatient. I've been watching you for a while now. I've been right under your nose this entire time. What you thought was a trick of the moonlight or a fish too close to the surface was me.
You're new to this, aren't you? You're new to sailing, new to being out at sea alone. I can tell. Sailors are the superstitious type. They are wary what lurks in the water and aren't quick to try and give rational explanations. They sail on the side of caution. So-called mythical creatures are more dangerous than moonlight and fish after all. It's safer to prepare for something like me, rather than writing me off as a harmless little fish.
Though, I could always tell you're new to sailing, because I had you going in circles, and you didn't even notice. You didn't notice when your compass stopped working, or when your boat turned too sharply. I do have to acknowledge that you knew how to brace for a storm. You would have survived the storm and sailed out of it in one piece, if I weren't helping fate along.
I'm doing you a favor, really. You humans say sooner rather than later, after all. I brought you to me. I brought you home sooner rather than later. What was that? Why aren't we both facing you? My, you really are new to this, aren't you, angelfish? Watch closely now.
The reason we aren't both facing you is because there is no we. There is no both. There is no he and I.
There is no she and I. There is just me. My name is Echo.
As for what exactly I am, humans have had many names for our kind, though the one that's stuck and is the most notable, the one that I hear gasp before it's drowned in salt water and blood, is Siren. I am the creature that lures sailors to their eternal slumber on the ocean floor with my beauty, with my song. Everything about me pulls you in, even when I'm not trying. Just look at how far you're leaning off your railing. Any farther, and you'll tumble right into my arms.
Don't try backing away now. Your ship has taken a lot of damage. If you move back any further, you might misstep and cause it to completely collapse. You might stake yourself on the planks when you fall, and frankly, that would really upset me. I've kept you alive this long. It would be devastating if I weren't the one to kill you in the end.
You don't know how lucky you are to be alive, to even be having this conversation. Most humans in the presence of a siren can barely get a decent scream, while you've gotten in multiple questions. Another question? You're wondering why I keep changing forms? Simple, really.
It's usually clear to me which form a sailor prefers. Call it a sixth sense. Not all sailors prefer the opposite form after all. While there are sailors that would be lured in by both forms, I've found that they lean towards one form than the other. All it takes is to go back and forth and see which form gets them in the water first. But with you, you're perfectly split.
You give equal reaction to both forms, which just adds to the curiosity you are. It adds to the reason that I kept you alive this long, which I'm sure you're eager to know. I told you that I've been watching you for a while now, because there was something about you that was just so familiar. You have the face, the voice, the air of a memory, of someone that I knew, someone that I loved.
Sirens live for centuries longer than humans do. Kept young, kept powerful with every human we take under with us. We are told stories that when we kill a human, we keep their soul, and it's their souls that sustain us. Humans are drawn to us because their souls ache to be back in the water where they came from, tens of millions of years ago. They ache to be home. They know the sound of the sea when we call them to us.
I'm telling you this to emphasize that all humans are drawn to us. Every single human, no matter how superstitious they are, no matter how terrified of the sea they are, I can lure any human I please. It's the nature of a siren. However, it isn't the nature of a siren to be lured in first, and certainly not in the nature of the siren to not take a soul when it's sitting right in front of them. So bright and so beautiful.
There was a human just like you who was perfectly split, who gave equal reaction to both forms when I found them here in my cave. They were an explorer, a fearless one at that. They traveled alone, just as you have, documenting their findings for, well, I never found out the reason.
It should have been the easiest to kill. I didn't even have to lure them in. They walked right into my home, straight to me, ready to be taken. Asking to be taken, really. But I found that I couldn't. Not until I knew what they were doing. Curiosity keeps the humans alive, as we say. So I watched. I watched as they explored my cave and wrote and wrote and drew. They knew how to draw. The drawing they did of my cave was beautiful, and of my belongings which they never touched. Any other human would have, but they simply looked and wrote and drew, and went to look more and write more and draw more.
Their curiosity, their wonder, grew my own curiosity and wonder. It wasn't until they were about to leave that I showed myself. While I've seen human eyes widen with fear, with pain, theirs widen with absolute amazement. They knew what I was. They breathed out the word siren in a voice that drew me in, wondering if I could get them to say my name in that voice.
I switched between forms and found that they were perfectly split, drawn to each form equally. They asked me questions just as you did, and I answered. I answered and asked my own questions, and it went on like this for days. When they needed to sleep, I stayed up to compile more questions. If I just kept asking them questions, then they wouldn't need to leave. I wouldn't need to kill them.
Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, until they grew ill. Every cure that I knew, I tried and it failed. Their own medications that they had weren't working. Nothing was working here, so there was only one option left. Get them back to land so they can find someone to help them. So I let them go. I let them go because I couldn't watch them die. I let them go because I couldn't kill them. I let them go because I loved them. In the most human sense of it all, I loved them, and I'd like to think that they loved me back.
That was a long time ago. They promised they would come back, and they didn't. I'd like to think they tried to and lost their way. I spent months, years searching, but I couldn't stray too far from the cave just in case I'd come back to find them writing and drawing about the latest treasure that I picked up. But it never happened, and eventually I stopped looking, knowing that too many years have passed and that humans did not live as long as we did.
But then, here you are, come back to me in a new life. I've heard stories of humans believing in reincarnation, and I never thought much of it until I saw you. You came back to me, Angelfish, just as you said you would. You came back. I'm not mistaken. It's your face, your voice, your air. For Poseidon's sake, you're alone as you were the first time. You were exploring and writing and drawing in those journals of yours. You have those eyes, the eyes that don't fear but wonder, that ask questions that I want to answer over and over again. It's you. I know it's you. I know you from the deepest depths of the ocean.
You don't know it's me now, but you will know me again. It was clear from the first time, and it's clear now that the gods have brought us together for a reason. We are to redefine what is known as love and connection. I'm not letting you go again. I was young and foolish the first time, and you have already lived a life before this one. We both have grown. This is our second chance to be together. You aren't afraid of me. You can't make me believe you are. Stop acting like you're afraid. Stop backing away from me. You know me. It's Echo. I've never forgotten those moments we spent together, and I'll spend many more recreating them if it will help you remember.
Please, please, you have to give me a chance. I don't want to force you. I want it to come as easily as it did the first time. Please, Angelfish. I've spent so long looking for you. So long waiting for you to return to me. Please just come to me.
Stop walking back. I warned you that your boat took a lot of damage. Let me at least help you on the rocks before.
No!